Hello, everyone. We have head coach Greg Gard here. We will go ahead and go straight into questions. So as always, if you have a question, please let me know in the chat and we will push you through. Let's go ahead and start with Jeff Patrikis. Jeff?
Yeah, Greg, you said in a couple different places that you like the way they've practiced recently and played better in the last couple of games. Can you expand on what specifically you've seen both in practice and in games that makes you feel a little more comfortable?
Well, I think you obviously look at numbers of what we've been able to do from an offensive efficiency standpoint. I think we've gotten, better. I think shot selection, those things have improved. I think, schematically or technique-wise, we've gotten better at screening, specifically cutting, making contact on screens, moving the ball via the pass and minimizing the dribble, which any really good offensive team, the ball typically flies more through the air than it does get put on the floor. So just those things, just little things that we need to continue to improve upon. And I think they've continued to work to get better. As I've said before, this is a very persistent group. It's a very resilient group. And, they come to practice as they just did today, bouncing their step, smile on their face, ready to go and practice very well again today. So we just got to continue to, stack those successes on top of each other and take the good things that we've done in the last couple of games and build on those and continue to minimize areas where we've had struggles.
Jim Polzin, go to you next.
Greg, just following up on your conversation or your comments after the game on Sunday, have you talked to the league at all? Did you get any feedback, any response on your concerns?
Yeah, I talked to them yesterday and voiced my concerns. They heard me out and, good dialogue back and forth with that. And we were able to move on.
Steve McGargy.
Seemed like the word from the players after the Iowa game was postseason now, we're 0-0, nothing before matters. How easy or tough in your experience is it to kind of adopt that mindset once you go into the postseason to realize that everything that happened beforehand doesn't quite matter and to put that behind you?
Well, because that's kind of how we approach every year, Steve. We obviously look at our non-conference. Obviously, it was different in terms of how we approach the preseason, but you segment your seasons, non-conference in preparation for conference and then into conference play, and you navigate through that with the intent that you hopefully have enough success to put yourself in postseason play. And then obviously you've got a conference tournament and then a national tournament behind it. So regardless of, how you finish, and there's only one team that had a trophy here at the end. There's a lot of obviously teams that wanted to finish at the top, and we're not one of them. So you move on to next, but it's all sequenced in terms of how you navigate through a year that regardless, this was going to be the next step in terms of our preparation and the opportunities we have in front of us with the Big Ten tournament.
Josh Schaefer, go to you next.
Yeah, Greg, just as far as the logistics go of the tournaments this year and kind of being in the bubble and stuff, is it going to be basically the same setup you guys have had on road games this year and it's kind of nothing different? Or is there some stuff that you guys are looking at that you're kind of trying to prepare the guys for as far as being ready with all the COVID stuff?
Yeah, the NCAA tournament will be much stricter from what I've gathered so far. And there's going to be obviously some protocols and things you're going to have to do, quarantining, testing while in quarantine. There's going to be specifically the early part of next week is going to be much different, obviously than normal, but also much different than what we've seen. The Big Ten tournament still has protocols in place, but it's not in terms of, hotel, accommodations and things like that, not quite the same. It's similar to what we're doing right now. I would say very similar to what we're doing now, but the NCAA tournament's going to be definitely an adjustment and a step to a little different level maybe than what we've all been accustomed to.
We have a couple of follow-ups here. Reminder, if you have a question, let me know in chat. Let's go back to Jeff Patrikis.
Yeah, Greg, obviously Trice was honored by the league today again. I'm just curious, how well you think he's played overall, particularly down the stretch, and what will you need from him from here on out on both ends of the court?
Well, the answer to your second part first, Jeff, I think we obviously need him playing it up to his potential and his ability. And you mentioned both ends, and that's important to add that, because I think sometimes that gets lost, that how important the defensive end is and how good he's been on that end at times for us. So obviously we need everybody, to take another step. And as I mentioned Sunday, this is the time of year when freshmen become sophomores. So that's, conversation with Johnny that we can take another step, and everybody, if we can, everybody can minimize some miscues and mistakes, everybody take care of one, and that adds up pretty quickly for our whole team. But you're in a point where you have to do that and have to play really efficient on both ends of the floor. But really, to go back to his award, really proud of him. I called him late last night, I think, and congratulated him. And he's come a long ways. I think his journey is unique in terms of going to prep school afterwards, because he just needed to get focused on basketball, and after high school, and get focused on basketball and get healthy, not coming off a football season where he was banged up going into basketball, and just how he's grown. I mean, he's taken steps every year. Parts of his game have improved. So really proud of him, because I know he's put a lot of work in, and he's had people around him that have really helped him through his journey. Obviously his parents, especially, and his brother. So just happy for him, because from where he walked in as a freshman to where he is now, he's showed a lot of growth.
Couple more here. George Balekji.
Yeah, Greg, regardless of everything that happened on Sunday, you still took a Final Four team down to the last few possessions of the game. Same thing was with Purdue, how tough your guys hung with them. Did you notice a little more confidence in practice when you guys got back to it from their performance in Iowa and Purdue leading up to the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think, we've talked about how we practice better. And I think that's always how you play is a byproduct of how you practice. And every team has gone through, you look across the league, every team has gone through what you may call a bottoming out, so to speak, where they've hit a rough patch. This league is so good that you can play well and still get beat. And we've seen, you can go up and down the list. Iowa's had, they lost 4 or 5 at one time. Ohio State's lost 4 in a row right now. Michigan's lost 2 out of 3. I mean, Michigan State went through their sputtering when they came back off COVID. And so you're going to go through it for the most part. You're going to have some type of rough waters, to find your way out of it. And obviously everybody's schedule is different. Everybody, plays, it's different in terms of who. We didn't even have everybody play 20 games this year. So it's been a very odd year that way. But we've practiced better, George. So I think that gives you confidence that you're going to play better, and you still got to do it. And obviously we got to improve results in terms of outcomes. But the steps they've taken over the last 10 days, 2 weeks have been, very positive. And I'm proud of their effort and their focus. As I mentioned Sunday, they've stayed locked in and dialed in, and come back, every day with the bounce in their step and excited to work and get better.
Jim Polzin.
I had another one on Trice too. He didn't score in the first half the other day at Iowa, and I think Purdue did a pretty good job of containing him too. Are you seeing teams trying to take him out of the game? It makes sense that he's number 1 on the scouting report for you guys. I'm just curious if you've seen, as the season gone on, more of that.
Well, I think the same thing we try to do, to opponents. There's guys you're going to key in on, and that's where you hopefully have other guys step up, and have more balance. So that can alleviate some of that if a team really makes an accentuated effort to try to minimize somebody on the offensive end too. So, some of it's opportunities to get presented. Some of it's due to the defensive scheme. Some of it's, just can people play better? But I don't think that's not abnormal to see, schemes to try to minimize or neutralize your better players, specific on the offensive end.
Alrighty. Thank you, Coach Gard.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.